wanted to hear the end of that. Okay, review from last week. We were talking about Revelation chapter 14. And in Revelation chapter 14, the first 5 verses deal with 144,000. Remember that? And they're going to be assembling with Jesus at Zion and singing a song that no man could know. Remember that? That was verses 1 through 5. Well, I got home and I got to thinking, well, Rachel said, and I was humming that song, that one particular song, and I thought, I can't believe she's never heard that song because she's, our age. And so I got on the internet and I found that song. We're going to be doing it in just a little bit. And then the more I studied it, I thought, wow, there's a lot more here than just what we've got in Revelation. Revelation talks about the 144,000 that sing at Zion. And let's read that before we go any farther. Revelation chapter 14, verses 1 to 5. You ready? And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. Okay, so where is Zion? The Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Yeah, that hill where the temple was built, that's Mount Zion. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of great thunder, and I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. So there's music. And they sang, it's 144,000, they sang as it were a new song before the throne, and before the 4 beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Now, if we went back to Revelation chapter 7, we would find out this 144,000 are made up of 12,000 from each of the tribes of Israel. So there's 12,000 from Issachar, 12,000 from Benjamin, 12,000 from Judah, right on down. Each tribe has 12,000 people. And we're going to find out later on that they are virgins and they've never been with a woman. And so these are guys that are thought to be evangelists that God creates at the beginning of the tribulation, because it's in chapter 7 where we first hear about them, that God seals them. They're sealed. And they make it all the way through to the end of the tribulation, and that's what this is making a reference of. Okay, at the end. Now, let's do a little bit of survey on this. We're in chapter 14, and the end of Revelation doesn't come until chapter 22. So you would think that if we're following chronological order, that this has got to be at the chapter 22. Well, no, it's not. Chapter 14, or 13, 14, and 15 are an inserted, what do we call that? A parentheses, or what was the word? A synopsis of what's happening during the whole 7 years. It's kind of a microcosm picture right in the middle God puts in there, because we find out that in chapter 12 the Antichrist is coming and all the terrible stuff that happens and everything, and God sets back and says, okay, we're going to make chapter 13, 14, 15 and show God's progression is going to win. We're going to win. But these 144,000 is the first thing he talks about. John writes about the 144,000. They're going to sing a song that nobody knows. Nobody can learn except the 144,000. That to me is amazing. How can somebody have a song that nobody else can learn? I don't understand how, that is possible, but that's what it says. That's what God's doing. Verse 4, these are they which have not defiled, or were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes. These were redeemed from among them, being the first fruits of God and to the Lamb, and in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. So these 144,000 are kind of a unique group. And I thought, okay, now we've been using some of these passages. Let's look at, they're coming to Zion and they're singing. I remembered last week, remember that song that something about singing in Zion and everything? And everybody said, no, we never heard of that song. Remember when you all said, Clyde, you don't know what you're talking about. We've never heard that song. It's real. And Margie has that song. We're going to be playing it in just a minute, but let's look. I want to deviate from Revelation now. We're going to leave Revelation 14. And we're going to start looking into this thing about singing at Zion. Who's going to sing? What are they going to sing? What's it going to be like at Zion? Now, when we're talking about this, we're talking about at the very end of the tribulation, at the beginning of the kingdom age. Okay? So we're going to see some things about Israel is going to become like Eden, the Garden of Eden. We're going to see that kind of language that we find in Isaiah chapter 51. So let's go there to Isaiah 51, and we'll start our main body of our lesson. Old Testament. And we're going to just do a basic reading through here, and as we go, take a look at your paper where it says see the coming kingdom, and then there's a circle right under that. It says, now let's read Isaiah 51. Coming out of the darkness and into the light, out of the tribulation and into the kingdom. We've come up the beginning of the kingdom here. The glorious day of the Lord, into which Israel is looking forward to. If you ask a Jewish man, what's he looking forward to? He's looking for the coming of the Messiah from Isaiah 51. He's looking for that. In chapter 51, what a glorious chapter it is, as it speaks of the earth and its conditions when Jesus comes and establishes his kingdom and he reigns upon the earth. Okay, we need to get a real handle on what time we're talking about here. This is the initial start of the kingdom age. And the kingdom age lasts for how long? 1,000 years, right. We find that in Revelation, I think it's chapter 20, where he talks about 1,000 years. He says it 6 times. It's 1,000 years. At the very beginning of this, Jesus sets up his kingdom, and there's some interesting things that are going to happen, and one of them is a highway. Did you know there's going to be a highway? Several highways. And you're going to participate in it. And some people are not going to. But let's go back here. Okay, now we're at this juncture. The first question, and I'm going to read Isaiah 51. Hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness, ye that seek the Lord. Look unto the rock whence you are hewn, and to the hole of the pit where you were digged. Don't ever think that we are something special. You know where God got us? When he got us out of a miry pit. That's what our life was. Okay, he says, look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah that bare you. For I called him alone and blessed him and increased him. So who's the audience here in Isaiah 51? Who's he talking to?
Jews.
The Jews, right. Because he says Abraham. He tells us right up front. Isaiah is telling us, okay, we're talking to the Jews. Now, what will Israel become like? Let's read verse 3. For the Lord shall comfort Zion. Remember, that's Jerusalem's Temple Mount area, that whole area around there. He will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden. Make her wilderness like the Garden of Eden. Margie, you want to shut that door there? That makes sound here. Thank you. So, the Garden of Eden is going to be what Zion looks like during the millennial age, the Garden of Eden. Interesting, isn't it? And her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. What's melody? Singing, music, yeah. So Jerusalem is going to, and not, I shouldn't say just Jerusalem. When he talks Zion, he's talking about the center point of Jerusalem, but when he's talking this whole area, all of Israel, Judea, Samaria, all of Israel is going to be like the Garden of Eden. Wow. Now we're going to find out, what was it that when they were thrown out of the Garden of Eden, what started growing in the ground? Weeds and thistles, right? We're going to see a reference to that as we study a little bit here. This area around Jerusalem, now I'm not talking about the United States or Canada, I'm talking about this area of Israel is going to be like the Garden of Eden during that time, the beginning of the millennium age. So, let's go on. I want to ask the next question. How long does his deliverance last? I'm going to read verse 4. Hearken unto me, my children, and give ear unto me, O my nation, Israel, for a law shall proceed from me, and I will make judgment to rest for the light of the people. My righteousness is near, my salvation is gone forth, and mine arms shall judge the people. The isles shall wait upon me, and on mine arm shall they trust. By the way, when he says isles, he's talking about areas outside of Israel, the Isles, the British Isles, America, and everything. The Isles, the islands. Hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the reproach of men, neither be you afraid of their revilings. For the moth shall eat them up like a garment, and the moth shall eat them like wool. And my righteousness shall be forever, and my salvation from generation to generation. How long is God going to bless Israel once he starts? Forever and ever, isn't it? Yeah, from generation to generation. If you're in Israel today, you'd say, that ain't happening right now, is it? No, they're having some real problems down there in Gaza and all of the things that are going on. But God likens it to a moth that's eating some of the clothing or so. That he's going to eat up those that cause trouble for Israel. Now, if we're here today and we're not Jewish people, we may think, oh, that doesn't include me, because he's talking of his ancestral people, the children of Abraham. Remember that? So he's not talking about the church here. He's talking about the nation of Israel. So has God forgot us? No. It's interesting as we go on. Let's read the next little part here. Let's see. I want to read verse 11. When does this chapter occur? Let's skip down to verse 11. Therefore the redeemed of the Lord shall return, and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. That is our key verse today. And there's a song by the Maranatha Singers about this, and I'm going to have Margie play that, but I have to stop YouTube, because I found out if YouTube finds that we're playing music from somebody and I haven't paid for subscription to be able to get that, then they're going to blackball this whole video, so nobody will be able to get it. So I will tell those that are listening to the lesson, that are at home and listening to it, go to your YouTube video and look under the Maranatha Singers and look under, the title of the song is
Therefore the redeemed.
Therefore the Redeemed of the Lord. Okay? You want to shut it off, Ken? And